Welcome back to Million Dollar Landscaper Podcast. Today, I'm excited to bring on Jeff Duggins of Outdoor Network Services. And today, we're going to take a deep dive into why having an online presence is so important in your landscaping business. I know many of you out there thinking, it's not that big of a deal. I get most of my leads from word of mouth. Now, I agree, word of mouth is very important. But Jeff goes on to explain why it's so important to have your online presence in addition to your word of mouth marketing. So you do not want to miss today's episode. Stick around after a quick word from our sponsors. Podcast is brought to you by Busy. Busy is so simple to use, and it's the most reliable GPS time tracking app on the market. And the best part is, it was built for landscapers. Busy's founder created Busy because he owns multiple construction companies and needed to understand better which projects were making him money and which projects were killing him. Payroll is the highest variable cost in the project, so you better be tracking it. Busy does this better than anyone else. So download Busy today, and don't forget to mention the Million Dollar Landscaper Podcast to get 3 free months.
We want to take a quick second to tell you about our friends over at Cycle CPA. I can't even express to you how important it is to have a good accountant on your side. You know you want accurate bookkeeping and financial statements every month. Instead, you're often left with limited time to focus on the accounting side of your business and no reports to show for it. At Cycle CPA, the landscaping accountants, they not only handle the bookkeeping, but also provide landscape industry benchmarking, job costing, financials by service line, advisory meetings, and much more. Cycle CPA has a team of landscaping accountants available to provide anything from bookkeeping to CFO services. Visit cyclecpa.com, and for $100 off, mention the Million Dollar Landscaper Podcast. If you want to get the leads you want and turn your current clients into raving fans, then you need to try SendJim. They've created an exclusive offer just for our listeners. If you sign up today, you can get your first month for just $2. So if you haven't already, go to sendjim.io/MDL, where you can get even more exclusive deals just for Million Dollar Landscaper Podcast listeners. That's sendjim.io/MDL and take advantage of these awesome deals today.
Welcome back, everybody. Today, I'm excited to bring on Jeff Duggins of Outdoor Network Services. Jeff actually started working in the computer industry as a software developer, and then really got tired of the hustle and the grind of everything going on in the corporate world, and decided he's going to open up his own pond and water business in Lexington, Kentucky. It's called H2O Designs. Welcome, Jeff. Thanks for being on the show today.
Thank you.
So, Jeff, you mind sharing a little bit about your story of how you actually got started in the marketing side of things, since you went from the corporate world to pond and then into the marketing?
Yeah. So, it was when I went into the pond world, I got a lot of information from a lot of different people on how to, build ponds and do this and do this. So I was receiving a ton of information to build that. And I got to thinking about, what can I do to give back to this community that's helping me out to get started in the business. And one of the things that I knew was, websites and software and that type of thing. So I started really just, I built my own website, obviously, for the company. And it was doing really well, and just started at events and talking to people and saying, hey, you need to do this. You need to do this. This is what you need to look for, and the bits and pieces to putting together. And back, that's 15, 17 years ago. So it wasn't the internet was there, but it wasn't like it is today. So websites were really the main thing going on at that time. So, and we would do, we'd just sit down with people, help them. And I even developed a couple of small websites for people, on the side to gain a little extra cash, and mainly was just helping. I even had a couple of manufacturers that invited us in to do roundtables and things like that to talk about online marketing and stuff like that. So with that, I'm sorry, there's somebody walked in the door here, so things are working at home, right?
Oh yeah.
So anyway, so with that being said, then I met my partner in our online marketing business, BJ, and with that, and then we sort of came together and started helping more people with that, and it's kind of like my pond business did. We started in one customer, we started gaining more and more with that, and doing things with that. So that's kind of where that part of it got into, just grew into a business with that part of it. So.
That's awesome. So I guess you mind sharing a little bit about the Outdoor Network Services and what is actually used to be formerly known as ponds, correct?
That's correct. So with with outdoor network services, and this will kind of add on to your previous question too. What happened with outdoor network services, which Ponds, which started as another company name as well, we started taking that. Let's help our friends and colleagues in the pond industry, build websites, and then my partner came with this idea. Is what if we link all these websites together through a common platform? Because not to get into the gross details of the way Google works, it's like having a group of friends. If you're in a middle school or high school, if you have a group of friends that are all talking to each other, you have a group that's there, that that creates a bigger crowd with that. So the linking part of it. So we started linking these customers together. Then we started building websites, and what we found is with one website over here doing by itself, you're going to get decent results. But when you have a group of people, especially of like-minded people, or are targeting like products and services, Google actually likes that and raises everybody up together. So that kind of helped the group. And we started off with a small group of 10 to 20 people that were doing that, and then it just sort of kept growing and growing. And everything we tried, it was successful, and we tried again. So it was a lot of trial and error, because if anybody knows anything about Google, they don't share with you. They give you tips, but they'll never tell you exactly what they look for to get you ranked out there. So and it still is to this day. You're doing different things to try to rank above get our customers to rank above their competitors and do things like that. So with outdoor network services, where we are today, we've just sort of kept growing this private group, if you will, of websites that are all linked into the central hub website, and that helps grow things together. One of the things we focus on is making sure that the websites are responsive, they're going to convert, and they show up online. So that's the three things that we think are really important for our customers, and we have great success with that.
That's awesome. That's one thing I really like about your story, and then how you guys have created something a little bit different than what other website developers out there are doing. So that's awesome.
Yep.
So today we actually wanted to kind of dive in and talk about why it's important to have a good online presence. And, it's really just an essential part of your business. You mind sharing a little bit about that, Jeff, and why you feel it's so important?
Yeah, absolutely. So, with an online presence, just like I said, in today's world, it's not just having a good website. That's great. It's not just having a good social media presence only. It's not just having a good Google My Business presence only. It's kind of taking all the pieces of the puzzle and putting them together. And especially in recent, I'd say the last 10 years, the social media and the Google My Business and that type of thing is going to become really relevant. So when I talk to a potential customer, when I talk to someone that I'm just, chit chatting with at an event or something, the first thing I ask them is, where do you get your leads at? How do you think? And 9 times out of 10, a lot of people will say, oh, I do all my business word of mouth. I don't need online marketing. Well, that's an illusion, in my opinion, because even word of mouth, if your brother-in-law tells the guy at the gym that, hey, my brother-in-law does websites, they're still going to go, or does ponds or landscaping or mows yards or whatever, they're still going to go online and research you before they call you. That's just the way people think. I do the same thing. If I'm gonna do, I just recently looked for putting solar in my home. So the first thing I did was went online and found the top 5 companies that I liked. I went through those. I looked at their website. I went to their mission statement to see what they're about. Are they locally here in Kentucky, or are they a corporate company that's going to send somebody in from God knows where to come in, and then I'm left holding the bag if something goes wrong or something like that. So the same thing applies to landscaping and ponds, or any other service that you look for. People want to research you, and they want to find you online, and the days of introducing somebody and shaking their hand and as a first impression is gone, in my opinion. It's the online world is what it is. So if you have so let's just talk about websites, for example. I talk to a lot of people that say, hey, I have a website. I say, okay, let's look at it. And the first thing you go to is, like, the first thing is, if you're sitting side by side them, the first thing that somebody might say is, oh, I need to update that picture. That picture's 6 years old. Or, you start looking at it, and you scroll down through the whole page, and I can't find a phone number. I can't find an email address. I can't even find where this company's located. And when you're talking to people, especially just The average contractor doesn't know what they don't know. They know what they know. So most contractors do not know anything about online marketing and have any reputation and that type of thing. So the first thing that we look at is for websites is number one, the first thing you see, does it represent your company? Is it you may have started out mowing grass 6, 7 years ago, and now you're doing these wonderful fire pits and outdoor living areas, or even water features and things like that. So that's does your the first impression of the website show the customer what thing? Because what most people don't know, and you'll probably, if you when I say this, you'll think about it, and most people like, oh yeah, I do this too with everything. You spend about 30 seconds on a website if you don't like it maybe not even like that. If you click on it and it doesn't show you what you show, if you're actually looking for a service, like you're needing your lawn mowed or your landscape taken care of, whatever, and you find a website and you scroll through it, you may like every picture on there. It may be beautiful, but if it didn't tell me where you're located, I'm not going to call you, because I don't know if you're local to me, if you're 2 states over or something like that. So having a website that represents your brand and shows the customer right away. I'm a big fan of video headers on your website. The nice, pretty videos that play. Doesn't have to be a long, drawn out video. 30 seconds to capture the attention, and then the next thing right under that video says your company name, where you're located, what you do, and a clickable phone number right there. Because you never know. There's two types of customers out there. The first type is they're just searching for somebody to come take care of their landscape, mow their grass, or clean their pond or whatever, so they can get out the door and go play golf, and they're not don't have to worry about it, or they're busy, they run around, so they don't spend a lot of time researching. They just want to find somebody that they trust and go with that. And then you have the customer on the other end of that spectrum that reads every single word of your website, goes to it thoroughly, and knows everything about your business. And both of those are fine as long as your website offers that availability to that customer. So those are the main things to look for your website. With did you want to stop, or you might keep
No,
going, or
no, you're cool. Well, I was
okay?
going to throw in, I agree with you absolutely 100%. It's so important to have a website, and a good quality website. Like you said, if you're looking for a plumber, you're going to, somebody across the street recommends so and so plumbing. Yeah, you're going to go look it up, and you're going to look at least I do. I find myself, I'll look at their
Mhm.
website. I'll look at, maybe a Facebook picture if they have something, whatever comes up when I search in Google or whatever, it's going to pop up, and I'm going to click on it. I'm going to read about it, find out, look at the reviews. So I think it's so important to have it. And I think having a good quality website says a lot about your business. If you're just like just a mow and blow type of company, then maybe it's not so important. But if you are doing, like you said, the outdoor living spaces, and then, these huge patios and pergolas and water features and all this stuff, if you just have a basic, even just like a Google My Business page, it doesn't say a lot for your business. They may not look, as professional, and that may not want to hire you because of that. Don't you find that too?
Yeah, yeah, and I would going back to your, like you said, that even if you're just a small mow and blow type company, I would say that your website is having some type of website, even if it's not a huge 30 or 40 page website. If it's just 3 or 4 pages that represent your company, is important as well, because it's kind of like when having back before websites really become really popular years ago. You wanted a clean company truck. You wanted something that had at least had your name and number on it. You wanted to have something that was clean when you pulled up. It wasn't, there's not coffee cups and chip wrappers and stuff falling out the door, and your tools are nice and neat and that type of thing, because that people pay attention to that type of stuff. Same thing with a website. When they go to your website, if they see a jumbled mess of 10 different pictures that are flashing around everywhere, and they can't really find what they're looking for, the menus over here, somewhere where you can't really find the services that you do, and you don't have a clear message to that person, they're gonna back off and go find somebody else. There's plenty of other people out there that are doing it. So having that the first impression is super important for the website. And then after the first impression, then we get into, do you have different pages for each service, or you have one page that has all your services on it? And we can get into here in a minute talking about how to have once you've built this nice website and represent your company, how do you get it found? We use the analogy, and when we do a lot of talks to different conferences and stuff like that, and we use the analogy, it's like having this brand new shiny Corvette, and you park it in your garage, you never drive it around. So the only people that know that you have this nice shiny blue Corvette is the people that you bring to your house and you open the door and you show them the Corvette. Nobody, you're not out there driving around for people to see it. And it's the same thing with the website. You can have the most beautiful website in the world, but if you're not being found online, it's hearts in the garage and not out there working. So that's kind of we try to simplify things down. We talk about it, and it's not that we're dumbing it down. It's just we're talking in contractor terms to people, and they understand, and everybody understands that, and it's just common sense when you sit back and think about it.
Well, and this kind of leads into kind of the next question is that's kind of the difference between doing it yourself versus hiring a professional like yourself, because you know these little tips and tricks that they may not. Like they are great at doing landscaping and lawn maintenance and whatever, but they may not know all that stuff. They don't stay up to date with all the trends and everything that goes on with SEO and everything, where a professional like yourself does. So what are some advantages and disadvantages you see of doing it yourself versus hiring a professional?
Well, the only disadvantage of hiring a professional is cost. I mean, that's then everybody has their budget and their marketing budget, and so that's the only when you start looking at quality, good professional quality websites that rank well online, there's a cost associated with that you have to be willing to invest in your company. And a lot of times for smaller companies or startup companies, that cost may or not be feasible. I mean, honestly, may not be feasible into their budget, and they need to grow some first. So there's lots of DIY type website tools out there like Wix and different type of things that make it really easy for somebody to do. But the downside of doing it yourself is always time and knowledge. Because even with one of these WYSIWYG web creators, what you see is what you get, creators where you can drag and drop everything in and type it in. You still have to have the knowledge and the ability to put together a nice clean website. You have to have you have to learn where everything goes and how that goes. So there's time involved with that. You have to know how to type up the messages so that you sound professional. You're representing your company, and even with myself, I have people. I've done several websites myself over the years, but anymore I don't do the websites anymore. I have professionals that do it, and we have somebody that goes through grammatically and checks the website. I mean, even being a computer developer, my first websites, I mean, my wife went through and was like, what are you saying here? This just doesn't make any sense. So having the resources to have someone to proofread it. I mean, not everybody's married to an English teacher or knows an English teacher. So the downside, and it's just an enormous amount of time that's invested in doing even just a 1 or 2 page website by the time you learn it. I would say the worst situations I've seen is I have a cousin or I have a nephew or whatever that does websites, and so you have them do it, and you if you don't research and see if they don't do a lot of them, if they just know how to do it, then you could get back and you look at it and you're like, oh, this isn't really what I wanted, but it's my nephew and I don't want to hurt his feelings. So how do I do that? And that's just a bad situation to be in. So I mean, there's several negatives to the DIY, but in my opinion, the only positive, same thing as the only negative with professional, is you save that money. Because your end goal is not to build a killer website that's the best website in town or whatever. Your goal is to get more landscaping jobs so you can go do landscaping, do your ponds, and build your business with that. So it's kind of like everything else. You're a small business owner. If you wear too many hats, you get nothing done.
Yep. Oh yeah.
So
No, I
that's
say I agree 100% on that. It's like anything, whether you don't know electrical work in your house, you're gonna go hire an electrician to come do that, or if you don't know how to work on a car, you're gonna go to a mechanic to do it. Same thing here. You know, put your time and energy in the things that you need to do, whether it's selling your work or doing whatever you need to do for your business to grow, versus having somebody else, just do a simple website. But I would encourage you to do your research on whoever you're going to hire to do your website. Like you said, you don't want to necessarily hire your cousin or nephew or whoever. But there are other professional services out there that are, I would say, are somewhat scammy in the way they build some things. Don't you find that too?
yes. So you want to check, you want to do your research on websites, and not the ones that are scammy are usually pretty easy to seek out. They're either really really cheap, so I mean you get what you pay for, and that's just the bottom line on a website. So you get exactly what you pay for with that. There's two ways that professional companies sell websites. So if you get past the spam people, then so you're talking about reputable website companies. So there's two ways that people sell websites. The first way is they charge a monthly fee. Usually, you pay a lower setup fee, and you pay a set monthly fee because that company wants to. Their business model is that we're gonna keep you as a customer over time. We're gonna keep your websites updated for you. We're gonna keep your pictures updated fresh for you. We're gonna bring you on as a long time customer because we want to do business with you. And then there's another set of companies that just say, okay, you pay a one time fee. It's usually much more than your setup fee with that company, and you get your website. Well, that's fine, and there's a lot of good companies do that, but you don't get the support, and they may offer, you can buy additional support for once a month and stuff like that. One of the things you really want to look for when you're doing a website is, am I going to get am I going to get ranked online? Are you going to include the bits and pieces and behind the scenes stuff that Google likes to say when somebody searches for your services in your area that it populates to the top and you're found? I would say probably 90% to 95% of the companies out there that do website design, whether it's a monthly fee or whether it's a one time fee, do not offer SEO in their in their initial package. So that's one question to ask: is, am I going to be found online? And don't take yes for an answer. Look, do your research on the customers and have them show you, hey, search this area, and oh, here's the results. These three are my customers. This is not my customer, and have them do an honest online review of something like that. So that's where that all falls in. But be very careful that you, again, are you going to buy a Corvette and you can park in the garage? Because that's what a lot of people are selling. They're not giving you the gas. They're not giving you the map to drive around. They're not giving you any of that stuff that website needs to be out there working for you and bringing in business with that. So that's what I'm real careful to look for. The second thing I would say you need to look for is this company familiar with your business and your trade? That's a huge, absolutely huge requirement, in my opinion, because there's companies. If you can find a great website. Say you have a friend that owns a plumbing company, and they did their website and they specialize in plumbers and electricians. So a lot of companies specialize in services. Well, that company's going to do a really good electrical or plumbing website for you. But say you're a pond professional, they're not going to know anything about the pond industry. They're not going to know how to build a pond, how to do, or even landscaping or that type of stuff. So do they have customers already established that's in your trade and in your services that you can go look at and see their websites and see that they've done a mainly pond industry websites, or they have these landscape customers and that, because at the end of the day, if they don't know your business, they're not going to be able to relay the message to your customers about that business, and they may not. So you're going to end up writing all the content, which goes back again to, you're hiring a company, and it's okay to write your about us page and okay for you to be involved in the content creation, but you really want to come out with a baseline of, here's the message, here's for example, if you mow yards, there's only so many ways to say you mow yards. If you're landscaping, there's only so many ways you can say I'm a landscaper. So having that knowledge of the industry and those little tidbits that you don't have to do, so it becomes a cookie cutter deal at that point. Even though it's a custom website, you're going to have some common terms and terminologies and words that with your competitors. The trick is to convince, and again that goes back to pictures, your mission statement, your about us, to where, so if you have two identical companies that both do great work, and your competitors, then at the end of the day, the pictures, your mission statement, your about us, telling that customer, hey, this is why you should hire me versus this guy over here. This guy does just as good of work. I mean, he does great work, but I fit your personality better than he does, and that's for the customer to decide. Now, from the H2 Design's perspective, that's what I tell people: read our about us page, read our mission statement, look at our style, especially with the hardscapes and things like that. We have very more a natural. We use a lot of boulders. We do a lot of water features. We do a lot of pouring designs with the boulders that you integrate in. We're not a formal design company, so your website needs to tell the customer that if they're looking for a formal contemporary design, hey, we're probably not the company for you. You need to look for somebody else.
Absolutely. Yeah. The wording is so important. And that's where the advantage too of hiring someone like yourself, they know exactly what you said, how to say it, but it's also incorporating some of those key words that need to be in there that people are
Mm-hmm.
searching for. And that's
Yes.
where, if you're doing it yourself, you may not know all that and understand all that. So it is important. You mind sharing too a little bit about what are some like main pages that we should have on our website?
Yes, yes. This is one of my pet peeves from a development stand from a website designer standpoint. So that again, you get what you pay for. So a lot of times, you'll be able to get, I don't want to say cheaper because it could be a decent website, but a less expensive website if you just do a home about us and then you have one page that has all your services listed down. So, which I see a lot of these style websites, they're reduced cost. But the way that Google works is Google doesn't. Everybody's like, I want my website index. Well, Google doesn't necessarily index your website. It indexes each individual page of your website that in turn has your website showing up. So it's simple. It's a simple numbers game. If you have everybody's going to have their homepage, their gallery, and their about us page. Most everybody, I've seen websites that just have a homepage and it just goes on and on forever. Well, Google is going to look at those pages and say, okay, this page is about 10 different things. I can't really give it a good priority on any one thing. So what we recommend doing is every major service that you offer. So I've been in the pond industry for a long time, so I'll just give an example. So if you offer pond installations, pondless waterfalls, and fountainscapes, and you also do a maintenance type service, you do cleanouts, maintenance, fall maintenance, leak repairs, those type of things. Well, I've just named off 8 different pages that you need to have on your website. Each one of those needs to focus on those key terms. Because the way that you get listed is if you have one page on your website that's focused on pond leak repair, well, that the title on that page, it says pond leak repair. It says where you're doing, what location it is. But Google says, oh, this page is about pond leak repair. John Doe over here searched for pond leak repair, so this is an exact match. I'm going to give them priority versus somebody that mentions pond leak repair with 10 other services. So it's a word. At the end of the day, it's a word matching game that you're playing with Google. You're trying to match what the customer searches for and exactly to that. And a lot of times in different areas of the country, what we found is like in some areas of the company, it's called a disappearing waterfall. Some areas of the country, it's called a pondless waterfall. So you have to interview the customers. Is one of the things we do. We do an onboarding call with all of our customers. That's another important thing when you're searching for a company. Are they just going to have you fill out a form and just spit you out a website? Because there's no way they have any idea what your company's about. So we always do an onboarding call and it's just like we're doing right here. It's just an interview, talking back and forth. We have a set of questions we ask, but we want to hear what our interviewers are looking for, or our customer representatives are looking for. How did they say this terminology? How did they, did they say mulch or did they say something else? And that gives us a clue into if you talk if you talk a certain way, then you're going to type a certain way when you're searching them. And what we're focused on is we want to grab customers from their local area, so that local slang and terminology becomes very important to repeat that on your website.
I can attest to this portion because we used to say like our motto in our business was your water feature and hardscape specialist.
Mm-hmm.
But people didn't understand necessarily what hardscapes were. We
Right.
had to we found ourselves explaining to them like I never thought about it, but that's what the term we use in our industry. But the public doesn't really understand what hardscape is. So
Right.
we have to go back and adjust that to, like you said, to what the customer understands and needs and looking for. So I agree
Yes.
with that.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, and I've even suggested if people are like, I don't know what people ask for. It's like, well, ask your customers. When you're out there doing business, ask them, what did you search for? And if they say they search for patio every time and don't say hardscapes, then you don't need hardscapes anywhere on your website. And a lot of people call them out fire pits versus fire. I don't know. There's different grill islands are a big thing. Outdoor kitchens, grill islands, outdoor bars. So there's terminology things with all of that we try to hone in on and talk to us. So when you're hiring a web development company, are you going to spend hours and hours of back and forth emails and filling out forms and that type of thing, or are you going to do a simple? I mean, you can do a 1 hour conversation, and I can't even, I don't even know how long it would take back and forth emails and forms to equate to that 1 hour, just a simple conversation, and being human, talking to people and understanding what their business is about. And so you want that creates that. Because again, if we can talk to that person and understand what their business is about, what their mission statement is, and even if they don't have a mission statement, I always ask customers, well, you don't have a mission statement, but why do you do this? What's your purpose in doing this? If it can't be just to make money. You can make money. You can make money doing a lot easier things than owning your own business. So there's got to be a reason why you, at the end of the day, you sit back and say, "Ah, I'm fulfilled. This is why I do this." So that's getting that out of people, because I would say 90% of your contractors do not have a mission statement, and people respect that because it tells you you're if you can make a personal relationship or a personal connection with a customer, you can charge whatever you want to. That customer likes you. I mean, you can't be ridiculous about it, but you can be the highest price as long as you do quality work. And that's what you're looking for. Is you want customers. Nobody wants a bad customer. What I found is 9 times out of 10 is you don't necessarily have a bad customer. You and that customer don't relate. Their personality does not click with your personality, which will never end up into a good client relationship. So that's what we try to take from your personal. You want to talk to the customer like you would stand in front of them and tell them your story through your website, because you don't get the chance to make the first impression like I said in face anymore. Your first impression is your online presence.
Yeah. Yeah. I was always told friends buy from friends. So you want to
Yes.
do what you can to build that relationship. Exactly what you
Mm-hmm.
said. That's awesome. Is there anything else that you find that we need to be doing for our landscape, or I'm sorry, for our website itself?
We're going to talk about social media in a minute,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so we say, yeah, on the websites, like I said, having multiple pages, having that, and what you got to realize too is a lot of people focus all their time and energy on their homepage. So their best pictures are on their homepage. They update the message, and that's what they do. But like I said earlier, Google doesn't necessarily index just your homepage. They will index each individual. If your website's done right, every one of your pages will be indexed for those special services. So the first page that customer sees may be your grass mowing page, or your landscaping page, or your pond repair page, or something like that, because that's what they search for. So make sure that if you're if you're let's say your pond repair page, make sure you have the same clear message, the same, nice picture at the top, what the page is, what you do, what area you're in, clickable phone number. All that has to be relevant all the way across your website, not just on the homepage. I find a lot of people that will focus, especially with a DIY person, because they're pressed for time. They can't. They've done their own website, so I'm gonna get my homepage looking good, but these other pages may have a picture of a pond you did 8 years ago. Well, or a landscape you did 8 years ago. Everybody in the construction business is a better craftsman today than they were 8 years ago. It's the same. You learn and you get better and better. So you should have pictures that represent your craft on every page
Sure.
and be updated and kept up to date.
So I was just going to ask that. How often should we be updating the pictures, and how important is it to have a good quality picture? I mean, should we be going out hiring a professional photographer, or can we just use our phones? What do you suggest for that?
No, you can. The way phones are now, I mean, you can produce movies on the stupid
Yeah.
things. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Oh yeah.
So yeah, just the hardest thing so you can just use pictures off of your phone. Download them, upload them. If you're doing it yourself, to take pictures. Once a year is plenty. I mean, you're not going to change. You're not going to, as long as you got good pictures. If you're just starting out and you don't have good pictures, then I would say you need to update your website every month. Every single month you need to be going in. So say if you did this first landscape and it's a couple of bushes and a smaller area, and then you just completed this big grand landscape, you want to make sure that grand landscape is up there. But if you have several grand landscapes and you're a seasoned professional, and it looks as decent as it did or as good as it did last year, then once a year is plenty.
Okay.
But what I found, if you let it go once a year, then it goes 2 years, then it goes 3 years.
Yeah.
So having that consistent path of that. So, and another thing you can do too, especially for smaller businesses or people who are just starting out, you can take one project and get several different angles and pictures and stuff like that and build different pages. So you may have one project that has a fountain on it, some nice landscaping, some irrigation, some lighting. So from one job, you can get 4 service pages right off the bat with good pictures to put up there and build your website with. So it's not, I think people try to overcomplicate the media part of everything, especially when it comes to social media. We can talk about that in a minute, but it's good to have, and you can even do something as simple as taking, remember I talked about a header video. It's easy to produce an iMovie or something like that with your pictures and stuff and just do a slideshow or something like that. When you're a larger company like we are, we have our videos and our pictures and stuff produced for us, which is fine if we have the marketing budget that does that. But if you're a smaller company, you can just do do a slideshow, do something, shoot a video on site and take a clip out of that video. One of the coolest things I learned, and I've been doing this forever, and I learned it last year, is you can take a live photo on an iPhone, like of a water feature of a bird or something like that, and loop it, and you have an automatic looping video for your website. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I was like, why didn't I think of this?
That's smart. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's something you could totally do yourself. You don't have to hire somebody to do this grand video. You just have a waterfall sitting there running on top of the page, and it tracks your attention. It's beautiful with that. So
Yeah. That is one thing I learned a long time ago. I think it might have been like a pandemonium or some kind of aquascape event was I can't remember the photographer's name, was Tony maybe. And
Tony, yeah.
yeah, he was telling us, you're taking multiple pictures of this project from different angles, down low, up high, all different
Mm-hmm.
things. That was one thing I learned, and I did take that and personally started using that in our business, and so it is
Yeah.
kind of cool.
Yeah, and it's kind of off subject to websites and stuff, but one of the best things you can do is especially landscapers when for me as a pond professional for years, or even in the hardscape industry, we can't get finished photos until the landscaper does his job,
Mhm.
because then you just have dirt and stuff around. But for landscapers, especially even lawn maintenance people, you're finished when you leave. Your guy, if you're not there yourself, your guys should be snapping photos, and everybody has a smartphone nowadays. Or you should be snapping photos that day. That way, you don't have to take the time to go back and do it. And it's always good to go back a year or two later when those plants and stuff mature in to get those pictures. And I realize everybody's busy, and that's asking a lot of a contractor. But I've been driving along one day and had like an extra 15 minutes waiting for an appointment, and I have a customer I installed a pond for 3 years ago. Say, hey, can I swing by and get a couple of photos? Oh, it's a mess out there. You don't want to do this. And I just want a couple of close-ups. I don't care that there's things like that. And a lot of times I'll pick up their patio for them and like clean it up so that I get some good pictures. So that's very important for, even if you're doing it yourself or you're having professionally done website, is keeping that constant flow of media flowing into, because over the years your message is going to stay the same. A landscape is a landscape, a tree is a tree, a grass. The content, it stays the same, and we still try to update the content, but you're finding different ways of saying different things. But if you just update the pictures on those pages, Google sees it as an updated page and gives you, hey, this is a fresh page.
Sure. So we kind of mentioned this a little bit earlier, but having an online presence is more than just your website. It's
Yes.
being on social media, Google My Business, email marketing. You mind talking a little bit about, all these different types of things? I know we can go hours talking about each individual one, but what are you finding that we need to be doing as landscapers to be out there?
Yeah. So my business partner BJ, he actually, that's when we met. Well, we met several years older when he came to me with this idea of our business. He built his business on Facebook. He didn't have a website. So he figured out a way in Facebook. They used to have what they call notes, to optimize those notes so that Google would index them and find his website page. It was pretty ingenious. I don't pretty smart for
Ingenious.
lack of a better word.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I got you.
genius. Yeah. So Facebook they're all tools at the end of the day. And I relate this out to when I'm talking to people, because I try to break things down, not keep things not technical. Your website you can think of as your truck. You have to, in my opinion, you have to have your website as your home base for things to go to. You can start, if you can't afford a website right now, you can definitely start off with renting a truck, which means you don't have a website, and you start off with the social media thing. But eventually, you're going to need a piece of equipment. So maybe a truck's not, like maybe having a machine or something like that's a good analogy. But Facebook is a tool that can gain you a lot of notoriety. But you're telling your story. You're telling your story through pictures. We post all of our reviews on Facebook. Every time we get a review through Google or Facebook, or even we have a private system that we use, that gets reviews, and it doesn't go anywhere. We even post those up there so people can see, hey, you're getting reviews. This is what people are saying about it. So again, you're telling your story. So every job we do goes on Facebook. We have pictures of it. We actually do a project showcase every month, which is a little bit more involved for those starting out. But if you have a larger business and can afford or have people in house, we have all of our project showcases created in house. We have my daughter actually does all of our video editing and all that stuff. It's kind of like a hobby of hers, so she took it on and did it. So if you have that resource, then you can definitely use that. Or if you have the funds to hire somebody out to do that, that's great. but you don't have to.
Mhm.
We started doing Facebook. You can do those. You can do a Facebook Live or just shoot the video where you hold the camera up in your face. And one of my pet peeves is if you're going to do a walkthrough at a job and post it on Facebook, it's okay to start it off with your, I'm Jeff Duggins with H2O Designs, but flip that screen fast. I mean, flip it as fast. Introduce yourself and then flip it and then start talking, because people don't want to see your face sitting there talking most of the time. They want to see the project and the pieces you're talking about. So if you're walking around for a minute and a half with your phone in your face, you've lost my attention. That's just my personal opinion with that. But what I've seen is we get more engagements off of nature pictures. So if you did a great landscape, and even if you just put a bird bath in it, take a video of the birds in the bird bath and show it, and then just pan out to the landscape. That's going to catch people's attention. So having that consistent posting, everybody thinks that I don't have time to do Facebook, or I don't have time to do that, to post like this. Once a week is plenty.
Mhm.
I mean, we do 3 or 4 week posts a week again, but I have people doing that for me. And I started off by myself, so I mean, I know how hard it is to do that. Even if you're just on the job site and you're the guys, a lot of people like to see how things come together. So if you're on the job site and they're edging the beds, or they're starting the waterfalls, or they're different things like that, informative like type posts that show people how to will get you a lot of traffic as well. But again, you're just sitting there. You're trying to establish the fact that this is what we do, this is how we do it, this is our culture, this is the style that we go with, and doing that consistently is very important. One of my pet peeves with business sites, there's two pet peeves. If you own a business, have a business page. Don't do your Facebook on your personal account. If you have a business page, don't post personal stuff on your business page. Don't do. I mean, if you're doing something, if you're doing an episode, so say if you have a water feature at your house, this is where that line gets crossed. If you have a water feature house and the kids are over playing in the pond, having a good time, enjoying it, that's perfectly fine to post on your page. Don't post something political or whatever on your group page. Nobody cares what side of the aisle you're on or whatever with that, and you sure as hell don't want to be doing it on your business page where you're throwing customers away, whatever. You can say what your beliefs are, but don't there's a line to cross, and everybody knows what that line is, and that line's really your personality. You're showing your personality on your page, so that's you be careful what you're showing.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, there's definitely a line between your personal and business, because if you are doing kind of, we'll just say, not so smart things on your personal page, and they happen to link those two together, and they see that, they may not hire you because of that. So I think it's
Yeah.
important to be smart about that. Be smart. So should we be on like all the different types of platforms? Should we be on, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, or just pick one or two? Or what are your suggestions on that?
We have this discussion almost every month in the office. So the lady that runs our social media, we do Facebook, which links with Instagram. Actually, I think I'm talking outside of my expertise here, but I know the plan for it. So I think we post stuff on Instagram and it gets posted to Facebook.
Mhm.
So those links, so you can kill two birds with one stone there, and that's pretty straightforward, and would be my suggestion. I believe we do a little bit of TikTok, but not a lot. And again, you're looking at what is your target audience. Like for my business, my target audience is 30 to 55, upper middle income, I should say. So that's your target audience. So what platform are they using? And that's Facebook's platform. TikTok's more of your younger crowd, I believe, with that. But if you're into lawn maintenance and landscaping and stuff like that, there's a lot of your younger adults that are getting married, buying their first home. That needs they're really busy. They're working their way up, so they'll pay somebody to mow their yard, or they just bought a new home and they want some landscaping and stuff like that. So those know your audience and platform, and know what your business. Who's your. It probably goes back to a lot of the things you teach. Who is your target customer? And focus most of your efforts though there, and you'll pick up some from the other demographics. But what is your target customer, and what are they looking for? So we believe Instagram, Facebook are a must, and we believe that I think we do some stuff on TikTok we experimented with it and it seemed to have a little bit of success, so we keep doing it with that. But I mean, if you're pressed for time, then definitely focus on those two, and let it go. The Google My Business is a whole different. They're trying to be a social platform, but they're really a business platform. And I think that's as important as having your website
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, and I've been reading more and more people are suggesting that you should be posting to Google My Business more than what we have been because it's searchable. Is that correct?
Yes, well, Facebook's still searchable too. One of the things
Yeah.
with Facebook posts, I kind of skipped over this, is remember we talked when we first got started about how we created this linking club with our websites and different customer stuff. Well, every link you can get is valuable, especially so when you post something on Facebook. What I do is I don't do it. We don't do a lot of in the field. Here's the picture. We post it. We get the picture, and then we'll open it. But when you put in the comments, we always put in if you want to learn more about Palmas waterfalls, click here, and it links to it. So creating those links, not on every single post that has to be there, but creating consistent links back to your website is going to give that website a little bit more authority and let it rank up a little bit more there. So as far as Google My Business, it's been around forever. Just in the last year, Google's made a real big push and saying, hey, if you do Google My Business, you're going to get like better results and stuff. So they're trying to, and they're actually trying to sell websites through Google My Business. I haven't experimented in that, but with Google My Business, it has to be more than just here's my business page. Again, you have to spend a little bit of upfront effort on it. We offer a service that's called reputation management to help customers, build that Google My Business page in a form to where it's going to work for you, get found online better, and also tell your story and represent your company. And that involves, filling out, doing a good description of your company, linking it back to your website, keeping the pictures relevant and out there, creating products and projects, telling it which services you offer, telling it where you offer the services at, completing that profile. It takes a couple hours to do something like that. And there's certain ways you can do it to optimize it to where you show up on more searches. Because it's not really with Google My Business, it's not a matter of ranking in the organic results. It's a matter of getting a broader result across more services and more locations so that you can show up more. Because that's prime property on Google searches, on search engines, is being if your company can show up for multiple services on that Google My Business section of the website, that's great, because that's what it's right there, so people are going to click on it first. And again, once they go there, they need to be able to link back to your website, and your website needs to tell the same. Another thing we didn't talk about is your Facebook, your website, and your Google My Business, and anything else you do needs to have a consistent theme and story all the way around, so they don't feel like they're going to don't if you do several different services on your homepage, pick your primary services, what you do, and keep that consistent. So you don't want to you don't want to be looking for landscaping, because there's a lot of electrical contractors or different contractors in different trades that also do landscaping on the side and want to get out of that industry and grow this industry. We get that a lot from people. So if that's what you want to focus on, then make sure that your Facebook page isn't focused on electrical work, and your landscape. Even if you have to separate the businesses out and make two businesses, you want people to see, because they get lost. If you feel like if you go into a pet store and you open it up and there's a bunch of lamps and couches everywhere, you're like, hey, I'm in the wrong place.
That
you
makes
know?
sense. Makes sense. So do you have any suggestions for those that are just kind of starting out in this industry? They're fairly new, a year or so in, or just getting started. What are some of the things that they should be making posts about?
Yeah. So, you should be posting about, and it's okay to be honest. You always want to look bigger than you are, but you can't be dishonest. That's out the door. But you don't have to tell people that, hey, this is my first job. I don't know I didn't know what I was doing on this job. Don't do that. No,
Yeah.
don't be that honest. But you can say, hey, check out this landscaping. We're new in the area. We're new to this industry. Check out this first job. We'd love to make you another great customer. That type of stuff. Focus on your positives. The fact that you did a great job. The fact that you're experienced. That type of stuff. And focus on. It's like if you have a part of the job that's not finished, zoom in on the part that's finished. Since you want to talk on, don't take a picture of. We do a lot of, like I said, we have a lot of our pond pictures aren't finished yet. We just, at the end of it, we'll say, can't wait for the landscaping to be done so this project will grow in and look complete. So we let people know this is not how we left it. We have a landscaper coming in, or they're going to get a landscaper coming in and finishing this job up for you. So that's important. I would say consistency is the biggest thing if you're new. Try even if you're not doing 2 or 3 jobs a week. If you're doing one job, if you're doing it part time, you're doing one job every month or something like that, then focus on different aspects of that one job you did, or go back and, if you've done 2 or 3 jobs, go back and push that other job to the top with that. So it's okay. It's okay to use one job and do several weeks worth of posts. Don't, if you are that slow and you're just getting started like that, don't spend all your money up front. So don't try to do 5 posts in one day as soon as you finish the job and show everything out there. Plan it out, knowing that you need content for the next 4 or 5 weeks. Kind of, this job, and we do this a lot too. Amy does this a lot. She'll go back to, like, if I get a picture, or whatever. Hey, check out this different angle of the job that we did 3 months ago or whatever. With that, so it gives us content, because even as much work as we do, we struggle for content too a lot of times, because some of the projects we do take 4 to 6 weeks to complete, and you're in that limbo in between there where your maintenance guys are out seeing things every day. So we try to fill that in with different stuff with that. So even as a large company, you're still going to struggle. You don't want to spend all your money up front. You want to make sure you have a schedule it. Another thing you can do with Facebook that I really like, and Instagram as well, is you can schedule. You can sit down on a Sunday and schedule out the post for the next month, and that's going to be that way. That way you can go do your job, not have to worry about it. Set a day of the month, a day of the week, or whatever, and dedicate that day. And, like, I love to watch football. So what I do is, like, right Saturday morning before a football game starts, I block off 2 hours. And like I said, I don't do my social media posts, but that's when I get, these are the things I have to get done today so I can go watch football this afternoon. So, schedule your time. It's easy to get lost up in it. If you have kids, it's even harder. So you have to schedule time with that. But, make sure you schedule time to do the things you do, and don't just say, I'll get to that. I'm sure you teach that a lot in your classes as well.
Yeah. And do you have any suggestions for people that have been doing this for a while, that have the teams and they're like, I just can't get my guys to take pictures? Do you have any suggestions for that?
Yes, we have the same problem. And if you've run a business long enough, how it is. You'll set policies in place, and a month later, it's like we forget the meeting we had a month ago, because it's not happening.
Yeah.
So same thing with pictures. So we have a system to where they can upload pictures into our system to keep those pictures. They are required to, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, send pictures to Amy. So whatever you're doing, whatever it is, there's 2 days a week to where, and Amy will send out a reminder to them to say, hey, I need pictures. Wherever you're at today, I need 4 or 5 pictures. So if you're a one man band, set an alarm, set a reminder on your alarm, and say, hey, today I have to get some pictures of some stuff. So set it up just like a meeting, so it reminds you to do it. And if I'm the world's worst about forgetting things. We go to a photo shoot, they have to remind me, like, every freaking week, so I don't schedule appointments over. I even put them on a calendar. When I'm talking to somebody, like, it's a lot of time. I'm looking at it, it's like, oh, I can't do this. I told you I could do this. I have to call them back and say, oh. So, but yeah, having a plan together and setting reminders is huge for taking pictures and getting your guys to take pictures. Also, another thing, dudes, you can do incentives. We've done photo contests before. Yeah. Hey, if whoever has the best photo this week or this month gets a $50 gift card or $25 gift card or something like that. So you can incentives. I can't say it. Put incentives. Yeah, there you go. You said. But yeah, there's different things you can do and make it fun. Don't make it like a job, especially if you have employees. Make it to where hey, even if it's just a friendly contest, whoever gets the best thing this week gets the, I don't know, whatever it is. But you got to motivate. If you tell people they have to do it, they're probably going to do it 50% of the time. But if you motivate them and make it a contest or make it fun, then they're going to start. What I found is the guys start. It becomes a competition. They don't care about the money anymore. There's a competition of who can do get the best photo or get the best picture this month or this week or whatever.
The one thing I say, and this goes along with, like, not just taking pictures, but any systems or procedures you're trying to put in place, it's the consistency over perfection. It's just constantly you're just, hey, don't forget, you guys got to grab some pictures today on your way out. Don't forget. And it's consistently reminding them. And eventually it's going to become one of those things that they don't need the reminding. They'll just know it. So it's like brushing your teeth in the morning. You just do it because it's part of your habit. So we have to build that habit. So it's just, like you said, be consistent, but just
exactly one of our biggest problems is keeping the trucks clean. So you clean and straighten up the trucks on Friday, or if we have a rain day during the week. Well, one of the things, I had one guy, and he's like he never remembers to do it, never does it, whatever. I'm like, dude, start cleaning your own car, and it'll become a habit to where you keep your truck clean. Yep. And you're right. You got to create. It's got to be a habit, or it doesn't get remembered.
Yep.
And lo and behold, when that started happening, it started, I didn't have to remind anymore
Yep. Yep. No,
of
that's
that. So
exactly right. The other thing I kind of want to mention is, with a lot of these website builders and stuff, we find that they can be somewhat the similar type of website design, especially like using like Google My Business websites or stuff. We want to be a little bit different from our competitors. Do you have any suggestions for how to stand out or how to be a little bit different from our competitors?
yeah, I mean, we try to keep it simple, stupid. It's be yourself, because you as an individual are different than your competitors. Like there's and especially in your about us page on the website, if you're not good at typing, talk it out, record it, and talk it out, and have somebody else type it to you, because it's easier for a lot of people. I can think while I type, so it's not a big deal for me. But a lot of people talk better. If you just sit them down and talk to them, they're going to tell you a totally different story of why they do this and how and what they're out for and that, versus writing it down. That's one of the reasons why we do the live onboarding things with our, because we want people to feel comfortable, and the more you feel comfortable, the more you're going to be yourself. So it's okay for even for your homepage, for the first paragraph, to you've already shown a picture of what you do. You already have the title there, what your services are, where you're at. It's okay for the first paragraph of the homepage to be a, hey, thank you. We create one of a kind water features and outdoor living areas for the Central Kentucky area, blah blah blah, and this is why we do this, and that creates that. So you're telling your story. You're not going into like your about us pages, but you're telling your story right off the bat, and then you get into what you do. So I mean, I think that's really important, because people that want to, like I said, there's two type of customers. One, the first type finds the page they want. They look at the pictures, they read the titles, and they never read an inch of content. They click the button to call you because they're out the door to job, golf, their kids' ball game, whatever. They don't care. They had this on their list to contact somebody to fix whatever's going on in their yard, and they're in a hurry, so they just want to do that. Then you have the other type of customer that reads. If you want to get somebody to read your website from top to bottom, tell a story on every page. Tell a story. Don't just say we do ponds and water features. We are Central Kentucky's best, and this is how you do it. Tell a story. This, have a picture on there and say, on this picture, this is an amazing water feature we created in the whatever area, and you're also getting SEO value by doing that as well, especially for your homepage. Then that's going to encourage people like reading a book. A lot of people read what's the thing? They read the first chapter and the last chapter.
Yeah. Yeah.
To see, make your first chapter make the first part of your chapter tell a story of what you're about, what you do, and by doing that, you're kind of opening yourself up, because you're going to turn off some customers that aren't your customers. You're going to turn off the person that doesn't like your picture. I mean, another thing, real quick, don't show a picture. It's okay to show a picture. If you're just getting started, it's okay to show a picture of something that you didn't do. Just put a thing in there, say this is the type of landscape we're capable of doing this, and give credits to whoever it is. Ask permission, obviously. You get a lot of manufacturers will let you use their pictures, which is great. But give credits to it in the fine print of it. But don't put a picture on there that you're not willing or capable of doing. I see a lot of new water feature people that have a whole page. They did the website and they have a whole page on this recreation pond. Well, you've been doing this for 6 months. You can't tackle a recreation pond. I mean, you shouldn't tackle a recreation pond. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So be honest with yourself. Be honest with what you're capable of. Tell that story to the customer, and then in 2 or 3 years or next year, when you get some experience under your belt, rewrite your story. If you have a website development company, well, if you're paying if you paid up front for your website, it's going to cost you a little bit of money to have it rewritten, or a lot of times they'll let you go in and give you access to rewrite it. With text, is you should have somebody in your family that can go in and change the text for you with that. But if you're paying somebody monthly, you're going to get 1 to 2 hours of development time. So over the winter, don't spend it all up front. Just every month, use that time. Hey, I want to change this page this month. I want to change this page. Next month, I'm going to send you something for this page. And as your story changes, keep your reputation or your message updated with it.
I love that, telling the story. That's very smart, because like one of the things I say for like when you're out selling to a customer is to kind of share some stories, especially like if you have a pond. So it makes it very easy with ponds. I don't know why, but you can
Yes.
tell the stories of how the kids are out enjoying, especially if they have kids or their dog's been in there. Find stuff that relate. So I love that, using that on the website too. That's very smart.
Yeah, and that's great. Well, that's you do the business side of the coaching, it's important, but it's important to also, if you tell a story on your website, you better darn sure tell the same story when you meet them in person.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know what I
Oh,
mean? They're gonna feel, and that's easy to do if you're open and honest here. You're just telling your, and like you said, people want to do work with people they can relate to and they're comfortable with. They don't want, and that can be. I've showed up to houses before, and I shake their hand and talk to them for 5 minutes, and I'm like, I don't think this is going to work. You're looking for something that I don't do, or maybe, maybe mine, their personality. I had a couple, and maybe it was me, maybe it was them, but I could tell right away our personalities weren't there. So you don't want to get in. And I know it's hard to do when you're starting out and you need that job and you need that money. I can tell you for a fact, in 17 years in business, every job I've taken that I thought that I should walk away from, I should have walked away from.
yeah.
At the end of the day, it wasn't worth it.
That's
So
that's good sound advice there. Not everybody's your customer, so just keep that in
yes,
mind.
and
No.
it's really tough when times are hard, or when we've been through the 2007, 2008. You did too. It's tough to hold true to that, but I'm telling you, and your website. And the point of it is your website, your Facebook, your Google My Business is all a consistent message of who you. I mean, be honest with yourself and evaluate who you are. Do you want to do these? Do you want to do residential landscaping, or do you want commercial landscaping? Because everybody wants to do commercial. Everybody thinks they want to do commercial because it's a big job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Commercial is a different, in any form contractor. It's a different animal, and we as big as, we're a fairly large company. We do not do commercial. I don't relate to them. I don't like the boards. I just don't like any of the commercial anything that goes along with commercial projects. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Jeff, this has been awesome. This has been so educational, so informative. Appreciate being on here. You mind telling a little bit how listeners can get hold of you and find out more information about Outdoor Network Services?
yeah, absolutely. You can. The best way to get a hold of us is just to go to our website. It's outdoor-network.services, not .com, .services. Once you get there, you can go to our marketing page. It has all the services we list. There's good links and stuff there, so that's easy. Or you can just Google Outdoor Network Services. I would tell you to Google like services in your local area, but you're probably going to land on one of our customers pages, and it's hard to get like one of our customer service pages, but it's hard to get back to us because on our service pages we want to represent the customer and not market our business from there. So yeah, the homepage website's good. You can hit me up on my cell phone if you want to, or you can Facebook message me. If you Facebook message me, just say, let me know who you are. And you can email me at Jeff at Outdoor Network Services.
Awesome. And we'll put all those links in the show notes and descriptions, guys, so you guys can check them out. So I appreciate it. But yes, thank you, Jeff. And just want to remind everybody, if you guys like this types of content and like listening about the marketing and websites and stuff, let us know by sharing us and, leave us a review on iTunes. We would really appreciate that. All right, Jeff, you got a few minutes for some fun questions?
Sure.
All right. All right. Let's start off with brag to me about the best thing going on in your life in the last 30 days.
The best thing in my life in the past 30 days. Yeah, I would say that would be boiled down to the fact that it's actually the last year that's still going on is my son's decided that he wants to work for us and train working with him. I mean, you don't get that opportunity to spend that type of time with your son. My daughter already works with us, so we have a family, and I work with my wife, so it's everything's involved with that. So I mean, I think every day it's a blessing to me to get to see my family like that, because most of the time people, like when kids get to the age my kids are, they go to college, they go this, they do that. And so I mean, not that I didn't want to go to college, I gave them full free line, but I mean, getting to spend time with family and that on a daily basis, I mean, it's just a blessing.
That's awesome. That's great to hear. All right. What's one bad habit you're trying to get rid of?
One bad habit I'm trying to get rid of. Well, it's hard to pick just one. I would say getting distracted on a daily basis. So I'm horrible at saying yes, I can do this, and then I have to go back and say, oh, I didn't have time to do this. So getting and I have like they a lot of my schedule is planned out for me, so it's really bad for me to do that. But I mean, I get distracted on somebody will call me and I'll answer the call when I know I got to hit this deadline. So being able to, because I don't like not answering customers and not answering that type of stuff. So I get my distractions are the habit that I'm trying to break.
There you go. I think most of us have that kind of issues. I can relate. All right. Last one. Your toilet paper, is it over or is it under?
A little different. I actually take it off the roll.
Okay.
So it's neither.
Oh, there you go. There you
No,
go.
I can't stand toilet paper rolls. It's a pet peeve of mine. I'm much better in a restaurant. If I'm in a restaurant, I'm stuck with it, right? So
Yeah.
if I'm in a hotel or home or whatever, we don't even have toilet paper rolls in our home. We just have like a basket that sits
There you
in.
go. Nice. All right. That's different. There you go. All right, Jeff. Well, again, I appreciate you being on the show. This has been a very informative podcast here today. So I definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Hope it was helpful to somebody.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. And guys, go check out their team. Jeff and his team, they're been in the industry for a long time. So definitely go check them out. Go check out their services they provide you. They can definitely get you set up with a great website and great network, as they put it. So, all right, Jeff, thanks for being on here today, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.